Hey everybody, welcome to On the Line. It's Tuesday, October 3rd, and we're back for another episode of On the Line featuring high school cross-country conversation. I'm Cory here with Olivia Ekbene, and on today's show we'll dive into three big things we saw over the cross-country action this past weekend, the most important results of the weekend, Cameron Todd's title hopes. I don't know, they're rising here. We sign off on our national championship picks and possibly some future bets on some athletes, and then we'll finish off the conversation with the Clovis Invitational, which gets going this weekend at Woodward Park. If you are a returning listener, shout out to you. Thank you for listening. Always great. If you're listening for the first time, make sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. But let's get into it. Three big things from the weekend. First up, Niwot girls at Desert Twilight.
Yes, I think the best way to describe this, and Bobby Reyes did a fantastic job of kind of alluding to this, it's a hole-in-one, especially when it comes to the Niwot girls. 15 points to win that title, and they were led by the sophomore Addison Ritzenheim, who has just been on a whole nother tier this year, Cory. 16:44 for 5K, which is the sixth fastest time completed on this course within the last decade. And of course, we have the veteran Mia Prock, who is also in that mix, finished second with a 17:31. And another sophomore kind of added herself into that as well, Avalon Beltran with a 17:38. So when you look at this team as a whole, right, like going into the season, we had Niwot as like one of the top teams, potentially the NXN champion is what we kind of predicted in the beginning of the season. The fact that they came out with 15 points on a really great course and had a finish of 17:31 average just really, I think, elevated themselves even more to a different tier that we've been kind of waiting for, I guess you can say, as the season kind of unfolded a little bit more.
15s you see typically at low scale meets, whether it's, regionals, district, maybe even smaller scale invitationals, but at big invitationals, 15s are a rarity. So I agree with you there. It was very, very impressive that they put down a 15 at a meet like Desert Twilight. Course obviously is different. It's not the same. So it's sixth fastest in meet history. It's still a fast course though, because Desert Twilight, regardless of wherever it's at, they're always trying to put together a pretty good XC 5K that guys and girls can just roll out on. So really, really impressive here. The thing that I take away from Niwot is that, it's one thing to score 15 and to run together as a pack. Like, you have a strategy where you're going out, and this is how we're going to accomplish it.
Right.
But really, 69 seconds spread between 1 through 5, that's not necessarily like pack running. That's all their runners running, executing individually, and still getting 15, which I think is even more impressive, the fact that they are that far out there. Niwot is, in my opinion, the number one team after this. Woodbridge result was great for Air Academy. Niwot comes in here, makes a statement. I think that was a pretty big one here at Desert Twilight. Do you think things will change? Who's the best team in Colorado? Who's the best team in Colorado right now?
After this performance, I have to go with Niwot. I think, the MileSplit 50 rankings went out last week before Niwot hit the course. So obviously with Air Academy's big performance at Woodbridge really just put them up there. But now, after this strong performance at Desert Twilight, it's kind of hard to not put Niwot at number one, based off this past weekend.
It is close because both of those performances are pretty comparative where they ran at.
Yeah.
Let's get them at a pretty decent course at elevation with hills, with all kinds of obstacles in their way, and let's see who comes out on top. Obviously, it won't, because 4A, 5A, they're going to race different races at the state championship level, but by regional level, we will see these two teams go at it, and that's going to be a sight to see.
Yes.
Our second standpoint here now is Belen Jesuit, the boys at FSU Pre-State, a really, really dominating run here at the Appalachian Regional Park in Tallahassee. What did you take away from their performance?
Well, I thought it was just super spectacular, just knowing how these talented individuals lined up. Like, the fact that they had their top, athletes within the top 20 in that race really just spoke volumes. This is, when we think of the FSU pre-state meet, right? Take the title, take the name of the meet. It's pre-state. Like, you're getting a glimpse of what these athletes are going to do based off where they are right now and potentially how the state meet can unfold. And the fact that Belen Jesuit put it together, led by Joshua Ruiz, who battled it out for the beginning part of that race against Patrick Kuhn, who is the defending champion at this meet, won it 3 times in a row. and he had the fastest time in the state. And so he came up second to Patrick Kuhn, and they scored. They finished second, fourth, eighth, 9th, 15th, total of 38 points, 15-26 team average, 54-second split. Like, I don't think it gets better than that. You know what I mean? It's just blazing fast. The athletes are right there together and working together.
Yeah, Belen right now ranked 4th in our national rankings, and they're there for a reason. This was a pretty good indication as to why. And the win was dominant. I don't think that was so surprising. Belen's won 6 straight state titles in Florida. They qualified for NXN for the 2nd time in program history last year. They were going to be good, and this was another example of that. What I found really, really fascinating is that beyond the 5 runners, you go to 10, and those 10 finishers at the championship level were all under 17 minutes.
Yes, that's huge.
You go to 3 other runners in the select race were all under 17 minutes.
Yeah.
That is a culture at Belen Jesuit that is permeating there, that is creating all that success. You go to a lot of cross-country teams across the nation, you'll find it pretty hard to get 2 guys or 3 guys under 17 minutes. The elite teams have them, but even saying that, the elite teams through 5 to 8 probably have really good runners, but not all of them can get to 10. Not all of them can get to 13 and put all those guys in the hunt, and that just means Belen's really competitive.
Yeah.
Those 5, 6, 7 guys really have to be fighting for their spots because, you know, the next guys are obviously up, and that's what's making them so good. They have this system, they have this culture, and it's props to Belen Jesuit, Frankie Ruiz that leads the team. They're going to be good this year. The only question in my head now is, at the regional level, can they get to NXN again, and how will they do it in NXN? Yeah,
I think that's a really great question. I think just, like I said, we just saw a glimpse of what they're capable of doing against really stiff competition, especially in the state. Now, we need to take it that step further, like you said, going to the regional meet. I feel like they're in a great spot right now. And I still feel like it's still a little bit early, even though it's the first week of October. Like, we still have a little bit of time to, like, get those, you know, the rest of the pack together and really working together as a team just in time for regional. So I'm not counting them out. I think they're right there.
If I'm not mistaken, the one thing that inhibits them is that they're from the state championship to the regional, it's usually within days. So they do not have a lot of recovery.
Right.
Those southeastern teams looking to make their mark, to really, you know, just transition to the next race. So that's what's inhibited them over the last couple of years, but they got past that last year, and we'll see if they can do it again.
Yeah.
Third, I'm excited for this third one.
Yes.
Deer Creek over Bentonville at Chile Pepper.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great about it. And I'm sure they do too.
Yeah.
Deer Creek out of Oklahoma, giving a shout out to Oklahoma teams that don't get a lot of coverage across the year. They're really, really good this year.
Yes.
They have beaten some Texas teams at invitationals to begin the season. This one was a big one because they were going up against ranked Bentonville of Arkansas. Arkansas had won the last 6 state titles, and they were good on their own.
Yeah.
A win here really, really reaffirms what we believed about Deer Creek, which they are one of the best teams in the South region. Last time they won a state title, 2021. Going for it again. Now, where do we go from here? That is the biggest question. Where do we go from here? What did you think about Deer Creek?
Well, my thoughts that I have written down here is this is a strong team that should not be overlooked. And I feel like it's somewhat maybe a team that's been overlooked a little bit this season. Just because, we don't really get some of those fast distance runners from Oklahoma, but they're shaking all of that stuff up in the States. And the fact that they scored 113 points, got all their top 5 runners in the top 50. And like you mentioned, taking down Bentonville, which has been a powerhouse, it speaks volumes now. And I think moving forward, it's just going to, I feel like, boost their confidence a little bit more. Like, hey, we're able to be dominant in this South region. I think, like, your question was, where do we go from here? Like, yes, we look at states, but let's take it a next further. And nationals, like, are we able to qualify as a team to get there? So I feel like that should be now a question that Deer Creek can respond to.
Yeah. When I did the story on them earlier this year, a couple weeks back, they were very hesitant to really get ahead of themselves because they know each day is different, each week is different, things can change in a heartbeat, and that's true. But I agree that at this point, this is a very big win. This is one of their best wins.
Yes.
Not state championship level that they've, I think, ever had. So there is a lot of confidence. They should be looking up and seeing what they can do. I will say, at the Woodlands, they're going to need the race of their lives to qualify. I think it's going to be really hard.
Yeah,
absolutely. All that being said, I mean, Texas teams are good this year, too.
Yes, they're very strong.
Race of their lives, but are they capable?
I think so.
Probably, yes.
I think after this performance, I feel like they can definitely, be in the mix a little bit.
Yeah. All these Texas teams are now on alert of Deer Creek. All right, what was the most important result from the weekend in your eyes?
Oh, in my eyes, this was a really great matchup. I've been kind of waiting for this moment to see South Lake Carroll race against Flower Mound head-to-head, and we were able to see that over this weekend. And it kind of helped me to paint a picture of like how the state meet potentially could unfold. I know Nicole Humphreys was not in this mix. However, South Lake Carroll just put it together over the weekend, scoring 85 points to 92 points over the Jaguars. And the Dragons finished with an 1831 average, had all their top scorers in the top 28, led by Elizabeth Smits. And, 10, 12, 20th, 24th, 28th, just great performances there. And we can see Samantha and Alexandra, who are leading Flower Mound on your screen right now. And they did great, I think, running together. I know one of the questions that we kept asking ourselves was, how is the top three going to kind of shape up? And right now it's Samantha and Alexandra definitely pushing themselves a little bit more into that first and second position. Samantha Humphreys won the title with a 17-13. Nicole, like I mentioned, is still out, but I felt like Alexandra did a great job of just like submitting herself in there into the mix a little bit more. And of course, Madison Peters, who we cannot forget about from Pearland High School, finished second there with a 17-26. Fox was third, 17-28. And I think what's even most impressive besides South Lake Carroll kind of pushing themselves a little bit more to beat Flower Mound is we had 5 girls finish in sub 18 minutes. So that was super spectacular. So great performances from all the individuals there.
If Nicole is out this season for Flower Mound, who's the top team in 6A in your mind?
I feel like we have to go South Lake Carroll, especially just seeing what they were able to accomplish this weekend. It's just going to be hard for Flower Mound, I think, to find that third runner, because that was the biggest question going into the season is we have the top three, who's going to kind of push the back end a little bit more. But now without Nicole Humphreys in the mix, it's just more of a dent for them. But, Flower Mound put out a great show despite Nicole not being there. But right now I think South Lake Carroll has that strong 5 right now.
Still 7, so anything can happen there.
Yes.
Hopefully Nicole comes back, runs this season, and they're back to form. It's going to be great. Carmel's boys, in my eyes, great result on the boys' side at Nike Twilight. Picked up a huge win there. This is a team that eked by Zionsville last year at the state. eked by Zionsville at the state championships last year by about 3 points. They were a good team. They did not make NXN last year, but they did have the overall national champion of Foot Locker, Cole Mathieson. This team had to respond, had to integrate 4 new runners into the lineup this year, so it wasn't given that they would be the best team in Indiana. There was a lot of good teams in Indiana really fighting for that. This meet here, I think Carmel re-implanted their sort of dominance on the scene there in Terre Haute, and I think they are the favorite going into the state championship season there. And you got to give them props, just making a little bit of a transition from that team last year that was high upperclassmen. They have a lot of upperclassmen last year that might not necessarily have gotten the opportunity, but now they're doing wonders with it. They won this meet by 47 points, and they only had 2 runners in the top 15. So that shows you really the depth at the 3, 4, 5 spots that allowed them to win with under, I believe, 100 points. So Carmel definitely has strength there, and this was a championship-style race with a lot of quality contestants. So I think it was a good win, and it gives a maybe good impression moving forward for this team, which, every year it's Carmel there.
Yeah.
State championships, regionals. We'll see what will happen at the next level. Next topic here. Cameron Todd.
Yes.
Brebeuf Jesuit won Nike Twilight this past weekend. Under 15 minutes. Very good race. Is he now a national title contender?
That's a great question. Here's my view on all this. And I'm assuming he's going to go to Foot Locker. That's where he ran last year, too. I feel like he can definitely put himself in the mix. I wouldn't necessarily say he's the heavy favorite.
Contender.
Yes, heavy favorite, but he is definitely a contender. He's going to be...
Wait. He's not a favorite as a contender?
No, he's just not a favorite to win right now. When you look at the top athletes, like just looking at the top results from last year, you had Drew Griffith in the mix, who's having a phenomenal season this year. You have Heemeyer in there as well, Ryan Pajak, who's been doing great. All of them have been running well. I feel like, yes, Cameron Todd is a contender. He's going to be in the mix. I think moving forward, it's just continuing to attack those cross-country courses. And like you said, he led 5 boys to sub 15 minutes for 5K, and they were all within 11 seconds of each other. So this wasn't like a completely blown-out race. Like, there were definitely guys in that mix as well. But what I can take away from it is he can finish strong. That is for sure. If he is in striking distance, he is someone that could all of a sudden spur in the moment be like, hey, I'm going to take a move, and I'm going to make my move when you least expect it. And clocked to 14:48. So I think he's definitely a top contender as of right now, October 3rd, 2023. Okay. How about for you?
When did we think Cole Matthiessen was a contender last year? When do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I feel...
Yeah, look back.
Yeah, I have to look back.
Well, I'll let you know. I think it was that Nike Twilight.
You think so?
He was a athlete who had gained steam winning races. And he put down a 14:51 on this course at night last year. Kind of probably put him at the spotlight at that point.
Yeah, I can see that. And then went ahead to win states.
You know who ran 3 seconds faster than that performance last year? Cameron Todd.
There we go.
Cameron Todd, much like Matthiessen, I think, is a little undervalued at this point, a little underrated comparatively. But when we look at the landscape of boys runners, I don't think there's a lot of purely dominant national title contenders other than Daniel Simmons. I think everyone else outside of him that are rising into the ranks have an argument to be made. And I think Cameron Todd, I had been looking and trying to feel him out a little bit and seeing how he performed. I think this was his moment to make a huge statement. Second time under 15, as you said, he's picked up quality wins. At Brown Eagle, he beat Will Conway. At Flash Rock, he beat Anthony Provenzano of Carmel. You know, there was another race in between, but I think he was just running for his teammates. Here, this was his big moment to kind of cement himself as a guy to watch at that national level. And because he's the top returner at from Foot Locker last year, I think you got to think of him as a possible favorite, maybe favorite-ish in a race like that.
Yeah.
10 champions out of the Midwest since 2007 at Foot Locker Nationals, 5 straight Midwest winners there. So I gotta think that a Midwest guy like Todd's possibly going to go for it down the line.
Yeah.
And Simmons for me is like the only guy you could put ahead of him at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you agree? You're kind of mixed. You're like, no, not really.
You're
just not sold yet. How are you not sold?
You convinced me a little bit more. Okay. A little bit more going into the show. Yeah, like Daniel Simmons is, as Ashley mentioned on our show a couple weeks ago, that she's like, Daniel Simmons has not done anything to show me that he is not the person for a title right now. Of course, I know Clay is another individual. Clay Shively from Kansas is someone I've picked that I'm like, okay, look out for this guy. Don't underestimate him. He's still there. So like I said, there's just a lot of names popping up right now.
Okay. That's fair enough. He's a name.
Yes.
All right. Next up, 11 girls have currently broken the 17 minutes for 5K across the country. Which girl who's run sub 17 has the possible opportunity to finish top 5 at nationals, or maybe even win? Not named Rachel Forsyth or Elizabeth Leachman or Ellie Shea.
Okay.
Who do we got?
All right, I mentioned her earlier on the show. I really feel like Addison Ritzenhein from Niwot, just after this weekend, like, she's been kind of building up toward this. We've been seeing these top marks. I'm like, okay, Addison is really trucking away here. And if she's not on your radar, she definitely needs to be, because she's just been undefeated this season. Came away with a win of 16:44, like we talked about earlier at Desert Twilight, and led Niwot to a perfect score. So I feel like when you're in that position, when your team is doing so well, potentially the number one pick to win a title, and you already have you're the number one girl on your team right now, like you're just going to go all in. And I feel like with Niwot, with the success that they're having at this moment, is just going to even boost Addison's confidence to take it even a step further than where she already is at. But alongside of that, I have Abby Faith Cheeseman. This girl from the Webb School debuted her junior season with the 16:27 for 5K. And Cory, when I saw that, I had to like dive into the results again. I was like, there's no way that, like, Cheeseman is very, very talented. Do not get me wrong. But the fact that we're seeing an opener with a 6:27, I had to do a double take and make sure I saw this right. And the crazy thing about it is, like, Cheeseman had a 2-minute cushion on the rest of the field. So that was pretty much Abby Faith just kind of out there moving and running, which is the number 2 all-time in Tennessee history, right behind Jenna Hutchins, who went 15:58 back at running lane. So I feel like Ritzenheim and Cheeseman are definitely 2 young talents that you got to keep your eyes out for.
We love the cheese. We're big fans of the cheese.
We're big fans here.
Yeah. And I agree with those picks. I think they're top 5 wherever they end up going. I got Emily Wisniewski out of Crescent
I like that
Valley,
pick. Yeah.
Oregon. She's kind of a secret in some ways. I mean, she's won a lot of meets already this season. Got to NXN last year. So she's building and building, kind of putting down the Lego blocks each week. She clocked a 16:33 at the Nike Twilight Invite in Washington this past week. That's a big PR for her, and the 4th fastest time in the country right now. I can confidently say I believe that she's a top 10 athlete. Now, is she top 5 at nationals? I'm not quite sure, because there are a lot of good girls this year, like a lot. I think she's fringe, but we know that cross country is about competing on the day.
Right.
So can she finish in the top 5 at a race? Yes. Is she going to be like kind of planted in there before the race, on paper? Maybe not. But I do think she can finish there on the day because she's that good. My only other thought here is Isabella Laurie out of Colorado. The one knock on Colorado athletes is I don't think they necessarily get, they don't face the best competition up until a certain point, and that kind of also is on Ritzenheim. But that being said, you're that good, you can see it. You don't need to debate that. So I think they're clearly on another level. All right. Next one before we get to National Meet of the Week is something fun we're going to put together now, October 3rd, before National Championship season, which begins December 2nd. I think Nike Cross Nationals is in Oregon. Running Lane is in Huntsville. Foot Locker, I think December 9th in San Diego, which we always look forward to going to these events. We've never done this before, though. Taking a nod from our guy Gordon Mack from Flow Track, we're going to do a prediction contest here. We got our envelopes.
Yes. Oh, yes. Mine's right here.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
I'm ready. Mine's pre-filled. I just have to put the names down.
So
wait, did you write yours down already?
I did not write anything down yet.
Oh, okay. So you had to very organized here.
Every race that's happening in December, Nike Cross Nationals, Running Lane XC Championships, Foot Locker Nationals, we are going to pick one athlete in the boys and girls races, and we are going to determine who we think will win. So we're doing a future bet on winners of these teams. Now, we went really far on this because we created some odds of our best athletes here. You got to think, who's most likely to win a national title? Do you have any early thoughts before we write our picks down? Any thoughts?
I don't know if I...
What are your thoughts on the odds? How about that?
On the odds? Okay, wait. Yeah. I need to look more.
So Daniel Simmons, Ellie Shea, Jane Hedengren, the only 3 athletes here that we gave odds pretty much to win one race. So they're getting odds basically for every amount you put on them. You're going to get basically less back. You got to bet more essentially to get your money back essentially because they are favored to win.
Yeah.
But from that, we got some athletes that have higher odds or less odds to win, including the likes of Alyssa Sorrell, Allie Sealand, JoJo Jordan, Patrick Kuhn. But we love these. We love all
them.
of it. We love.
Yes.
So I don't know. Let's get to it.
Let's
write down our picks. Let's write down our picks and see.
All right. I feel like I got to turn my computer this way so you don't.
And the thing, all right, I'm actually gonna put some stake on this. We don't condone gambling, so this is just a fun game. But for the winner of the MileSplit group, I am going to give them a small trophy
Woo!
and a $25 Panera gift card.
Yay!
So, winner here gets that. So our intern Therese already put down her picks. Max from Kansas, surely he probably bet Kansas athletes there. Ashley, she had an inside scoop potentially, so playing the books there. Joe Battaglia, also his picks down. So Olivia and I are now going to write our picks. And I overheard you today canoodling a little bit with others, so I don't know how I feel about that, but...
No names have been spoken.
Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
No names were mentioned.
So we're going to seal these up after we make picks. We're not going to open them until every race has run in December, and we'll see who wins at that point. Now, if you pick an athlete that has lower odds, you'll get more points. A lot of these are guesses at this point because we don't know anybody who's going. Nobody has qualified.
Yes, so this is a very early prediction.
Yeah, but I'm pretty confident
I'm confident in mine.
I think I'm going to get about 6 right, so.
You say 6?
I'm just kidding.
Oh. I was like, that's all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It's becoming official for me.
All
right.
I'm going to do...
Here we go.
This one's...
My ballot has been made.
All right. I got one more pick to make.
What do you think was the most challenging one of all 3? Did you have a challenge, kind of picking?
Well, yeah, but I think Foot Locker is kind of tough because sometimes it's the last race of them all, and it's athletes have worn down a little bit, so it's kind of tough to be at your peak for Foot Locker because you've raced so much.
Yeah. And
the course is not easy, so it's kind of tough to pick Foot Locker. But I feel like in terms of NXN, I know who I'm going for NXN.
Well, you said ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Did an athlete come into mind that you were like, oh, I forgot?
No, but I think people are sleeping on her a lot at this point based on other factors, so that's why I'm picking her. And I, shout out to her legendary ability. So I'll just say that. NXN.
I feel like I have a gut
feeling,
but I don't want to say it.
Well, we can't talk about it.
We can't.
You gotta.
I don't want to know.
You gotta zip it. We can't.
I'm not
talk
saying
about
anything.
it.
When are we opening these?
December 10th. Maybe on the show. Actually, our next show after
so the
Foot
11th.
Locker. 11th. All right, the picks are in.
All right, picks are in.
We got all of them.
All of them are in.
All right, we will see how that goes, but that is our first future bet prediction contest on MileSplit. Let us know what you think. What are your picks that you want to go with for NXN, Foot Locker, and Garmin? All right, last segment here is the National Meet of the Week, which is the Clovis Invitational at Woodward Park, California. It is a precursor to the state championships, which go down in November. Top teams in California, top athletes. It's a great race that is going to show a lot heading into the final half of the season in California. Olivia, what are your top girls' entries here?
Goodness gracious, I'm really excited for the girls. And the reason being is a lot of these athletes face each other at Woodbridge, obviously back in September. So I feel like there are going to be some rematches, some revenges will be handed out. And the wild thing about this is all of these ladies are ranked in the top 10 in the state in the 3 mile. And out of the 10, 8 of them are present, which is super spectacular. So just know you're going to have a really fast race, maybe tactical as well, because we're all going for the win. One of the athletes I want to dive into more is Hannah Thompson from Montgomery High School. She's the defending champion at this event. She went 17:04. This year she finished 5th at Woodbridge. This year with the 15:48 for 3 miles. And so I feel like she just really pushed herself a little bit more. And I know this was one of the athletes that we were really excited to see, especially during the preseason time, to just see how she was going to do with an extra year of knowledge, some experience. So this is going to be a great indicator of what Hannah Thompson is really capable of doing. Another athlete is Gianna Lopizzo from La Costa Canyon. She was the runner-up last year, and she was 10th at Woodbridge. Another athlete that we've seen over the last couple of years, Kiara Daly of La Jolla. She was 9th in 2022. She was 8th at Woodbridge. But what really caught my attention was Sadie Engelhart of Ventura. The reason being is the last time that she competed at Clovis was back in 2021, where she went 17:02 and finished second. So this is the first time that she's been here in some time, but she's going to get some great competition. She was third at Woodbridge. She's number 1 in the state right now in the 3 mile. So I feel like this is going to be a great opportunity for Sadie to line up against a lot of really talented individuals as well. 2 other athletes I want to highlight is Riley Blade. She is someone that I'm watching out for because she's just been kind of sneaky good almost. She's the second fastest 3 miler in this whole entire season from the state of California. And then on top of that, other athletes to mention is Ashlyn Boothby, Peyton Godsey is going to be in this mix, and Mia Turkolalis. So I know I mentioned a lot of names. The only 2 names that are missing from the top of the rankings is Olivia Williams and Holly Barker. So I say that to say, like, this is going to be a really great race. It's going to give us some great matchups, and these girls from California, I know are going to get after it.
Yeah, and you don't get them necessarily all racing themselves at state championships because there's 5 divisions.
Right,
so
exactly.
This is kind of an all hands on deck approach for Clovis, which we love. Boys side, same story. A lot of ranked athletes, the best athletes in California going toe to toe in the championship race. Got to look at Evan Noonan, number 4 in the MileSplit number 4 in the MileSplit 50 rankings after his win at Woodbridge, and second to Bob Furman. Anthony Fasthorth, number 8 on the MileSplit 50 rankings out of Ventura, leading that program into the national rankings on the team side as well. And then everybody else, I think you definitely have to mention here is Emmanuel Perez from Cathedral, one of the best guys in California, D4 champion last year. Had a really good season. I think he's just ready to kind of make his big breakthrough at a really big race. I think Perez has got to watch. Jason Parra, Milliken, coming off kind of so-so outing at Woodbridge. I think he's got something still to prove. Landon Pretry of Menlo, Browen Holman of Sonora, Dave Dashi of Newbury Park. All guys are top contenders in their divisions at the state level. So what will they do against one another? How will they run this race? When will the moves be made? I think in a high school race, you tend to think that the best move is the final move. But throughout the race, I think there'll be surges, there'll be gaps, and it's just going to be a fun race altogether. So looking forward to that entirely here. A couple of historical things about Woodbridge on the boys' side. Breaking 15 isn't impossible. A total of 35 boys have done it over history, including 9 since 2019. So I think breaking 15 is definitely a possibility here. Fast Horse, Perez, Noonan are the ones to watch here. Let's go to the team matchups on the girls' side. What's the biggest matchup in your eyes?
This is going to be spicy. Real spicy. Jay Sarah at Catholic versus Buchanan. Number 3 and number 4 on the MileSplit 50 rankings. Take away MileSplit 50 rankings from this. Like, these are top teams in the nation, and we're going to see them battle it out. Jay Sarah looks very, very strong, without a doubt, and they're U.S. number 2 so far this season, just based on their 3 mile team average of 17 flat, and they were able to win the Cool Breeze with a 17:53 average. So the fact that they faced national competition at Woodbridge and just did super well there is amazing. However, don't count out Buchanan. I know there was one segment where we were talking about like which team is better in the state right now, and I was like, wait till Buchanan. Now we're going to be able to say which team is somewhat the best because they're going to be facing each other. And they're, just looking as a whole, they're number 4 on the 3 mile averages with a 17:06, which is what they debuted at the Woodbridge meet. So again, really fast course, but it's going to be exciting to see these teams go after it. Also on the MileSplit 50, coming in at spot number 20 is Santiago Corona, and they're going to be in that mix as well. And of course, there's other well-named teams that we can see really elevate themselves are also going to be in this mix as well. But I'm really excited for Buchanan to kind of just like face all these teams right now.
If you're Jay Sarah, you're now at the perch a little bit. You're above your rival that you have wanted to beat, and now you're racing from a different vantage point. Where before you're chasing this team that you want to be better, you want to best, and now they are chasing you, which is sort of a different feeling. How do you feel like that impacts the mentality going in? How do you, as a if you're a coach looking at Jay Sarah saying, just don't panic, relax,
we're good. Like, I feel like up until this point, Jay Sarah has done everything that they needed to, right? Like, you're chasing after that goal of being the number 1 team in the state, taking down Buchanan, now it's the opportunity. Like, this is what you've been training for. You're training to be the best of the best. Now you have this competition, live up to it, right? Like, so I'm excited. I think Jay Sarah's probably, I hope they're not panicking at all, because this is a great opportunity for them to really showcase and put it all together.
This is their only opportunity to race Buchanan, though, before the state titles, because it's D4 versus D1.
Yeah.
You know, unless they both get to NXN, which is a high possibility. They both did it last year.
Yeah.
You're not racing them again. So
right.
this is the chance. This is the chance to race them.
Yeah.
And to make that big statement. We were ranked at 3 for a reason, because we beat this team.
Yeah.
I think it's a big moment in their program history. There is some kind of pressure to that, but you just have to relax. You just got to run your race. You got to run how you're told to, what the strategy is with attacking the course, and just execute.
Exactly.
Easier said than done.
Couldn't have said it better, like you said.
Easier said.
But that's the mentality, right? Like, I think that's super important to know, that you have proven up until this point that you were a strong team contender. Now you just got to do it on the day.
Yeah.
Just do what you've been doing. Don't change anything.
Yeah.
Do what you're doing, and everything will just come out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. That's definitely probably the top team matchup overall, hands down.
Yeah. How about for you on the boys' side?
Boys' side, we got a lot of good teams. Arnold Beckman is kind of a surprise candidate this year. They're number 28 on the MileSplit 50. Dana Hills, Great Oak, Ventura, San Clemente. Great Oak, number 7 in the rankings, and they have not necessarily surprised people, but in some ways remaining among the best teams in the country. You know, after a couple years after Doug Souls left, is a statement. We don't have to keep harping on the fact that he's no longer with Great Oak, and now they're a different team. But I think, as we said in previous shows, this is a culture thing. Great Oak's culture has been running as a priority. Success is a priority. So they're just, I think it's just validation that that's why they're here, because that is their identity. And so Great Oak is the team that definitely comes in as the favorite. Ventura is ranked. They are the up-and-comer with Anthony Fasthorse and company. If Ventura beats Great Oak, I think that's a huge moment for them as well, because the boys have been rising for the last couple of years, and this is their chance to sort of make that statement on the same level as Jay Sarah. So Ventura and Jay Sarah both are in the same position, looking to make big statements at Clovis.
So ultimately, what we're trying to say is this is going to be a great meet.
Yes, 100%.
On both aspects. It's not
100%.
like individuals, boys and girls, fantastic. Teams, boys and girls, fantastic. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned for coverage on MileSplit. We'll have that for you. And we'll be back next week with another show on the line. Thank you for watching. We have our picks in, Olivia.
We have
our picks. Wait, where's yours?
Right there.
All right. We're going to hold them up.
Gotta hold them up.
Woo,
we got them in. I'm excited.
All right, stay tuned for more shows. We will talk to you later. Thank you.